Spring is just around the corner. That means it's time to get outside. Head on over to sportsmansguide.com to find everything you need. We're talking a huge selection of hunting gear, tree stands, blinds, boots, and apparel from Scentlock, 10-Point, Baronet, Nomad, and many more. If fishing's your thing, sportsmansguide.com is stocked with the latest rods, reels, and electronics from Daiwa, Abu Garcia, Shimano, and more, plus a boatload of tackle and accessories. And for all you range rats, sportsmansguide.com has a huge selection of guns, ammo, and accessories, including a full line of Vortex optics. Plus, when you join the Sportsman's Guide Buyers Club, you'll get 10% off nearly every purchase and free shipping when you spend $49 or more. So for all your outdoors needs, shop sportsmansguide.com today. That's sportsmansguide.com.
Moms are amazing at tracking down hard-to-find items. Library books, socks, you name it. But sometimes help is welcomed. Care.com makes it easy to find babysitters near you. Sitters with the experience and skills your family needs, like after-school pickup and homework help. You just post a job for qualified sitters to apply. And since all Care.com caregivers are background checked, you can feel confident about interviewing and hiring. To get the child care help you need, sign up now at Care.com.
I've come a long way from container garden to the garden, and it started with a thought. I was just sitting in my apartment one day and decided I wanted to plant something, and so I started ordering my soil and started investing in gardening tools and plants and seeds and stuff, and picked out a corner of the living room and started planting. Soon I saw things coming up through the soil. The seeds started to germinate. I wanted more, so I moved out to the balcony where I had kale, squash. Footage you're seeing now is the first ever plants that I planted, put in the soil, and they actually grew. I didn't get any fruit, but the leaves were so beautiful. This video is not doing it any justice. The leaves were so dark and green, and then the cucumbers started vining and the flowers started coming through all golden. It looked so beautiful on my balcony. The cubanelle plant was my favorite thing to plant. The leaves were so beautiful. I just started planting them everywhere. I didn't even care if whether it bore any fruit or not. This is my tomato plant here. It started vining. It even started flowering, and my cucumber plant started flowering. But it only birthed male plants. So I didn't really get any fruit from the balcony. But like I said, I was just glad to see the greenery come up. The leaves were very green. Everything was so green on my balcony. And then soon we decided to move to North Carolina. And I had this plant right here with me in Maryland. This plant right here, it was a wildflower blend, and every now and then something would sprout up, but as soon as it hit the North Carolina air, look at it now, it's blooming. It has flowers on it. So it was as happy as I was to be back on North Carolina soil. So now I'm in North Carolina planting things. This is my experiment with my stackables. I saw a lady do this a while back on YouTube. I wish I remember her name, but I don't. And she hammered hers into her backyard. She ran the pole through the stackables and nailed the pole through the backyard. I was going to do that, but I said no, because I might have to move them. So my brother had an old flower pot with dirt in it that he wasn't using, so I stuck the pole in that old dirt. And so here's my experiment with the stackables. I have beans up top. I have cucumbers under the beans. I didn't know at the time what I was going to put in the bottom, but I ended up putting more beans and peas and petite carrots in it. Here's how it looks now. I'm very happy. It's so beautiful to me. And the petite carrots, if I'm not mistaken, they are coming up, because sometimes you plant things in the backyard in a flower pot and the trees drop weeds in it. Anything come up. This disappointed me right here because I sat it on the railing and it hit face down and broke all of the kale off. So I had to start over my beautiful kale plant. These are eggplants that I grew in a coffee container and now they are in the ground, looking good, looking good. Eggplants looking good. So I'm moving most of my things from the containers to the ground, except for this table queen squash right here. In this video, I was demonstrating how I was going to prune the leaves so that the sunlight can hit the soil and maybe I can get some fruit. And lo and behold, look at this beautiful table queen squash coming in. In fact, I just put a net under it so that when it gets heavy, the net can catch it. I got 2 coming in, 1 on another vine. I'm so happy. And the beans, when I named my podcast Bees Pod, I didn't think that I would actually be growing beans in a pod, but I actually have pods coming in on this trellis right here. They coming in beautifully. Like I said, my Bees podcast, I called it Bees Pod because of the podcast. I never thought that I'd be growing my own beans. As you can see here, the pods are coming in beautifully. I put more down yesterday because I was told that there wasn't going to be enough. So I put more down and we'll see. So I have been quite successful with this garden. The one in Maryland didn't bear any fruit, but I did harvest from this one. I've harvested kale from it, and I've harvested lettuce from it. Haven't harvested any peppers yet. Flowers are just coming in on my pepper plants, but I did harvest the lettuce and some of the kale. We ate good off some of the kale. Made what do you call them? Smoothies off some of the kale and the lettuce, which I'm going to do that in a few minutes because the kale is coming back so fast. I have my beets here. I don't know whether they are ready to come in yet. Every time I look at them, I'm thinking they're ready, but this is the lettuce before we harvested it. And as you can see, there's barely anything on the stalks. In this next slide, you'll see that there's barely anything on the stalks. I was going to pull them up, but I decided to let them stay in because they are flowering. And so I'm hoping that the flowers bring bees in for pollination. So yes, we got a lot of lettuce. This is called ice lettuce. They grow on stalks, and I love it. Very sweet, very tender. Love it, love it, love it. And so here's the squash that's coming in, especially since I pruned the squash plants. I have more squash coming in. That's the harvest right there. Here's the other plant. Since I pruned it, the squash is coming in like mad, and I'm loving it. Yep. Beautiful squash. Like I said, we did harvest from the squash, from the lettuce, and from the kale mix. Waiting for the peppers and the tomatoes to come in. There's another harvest from the beautiful squash in my garden. These are my tomatoes. They just started to flower. So I'm excited about that. Tomatoes in the container. Beefsteak tomatoes. I'm going to have to use nets on them too when they start coming in. And we did put some in the ground. But that's how I came from out of the living room to the balcony and to the garden. My Bees Pod Garden, that's what I call it now. And I am so proud of it. The squash coming in beautifully. Table queen squash. The straight neck squash. I have onions coming in. I have okra, kale mix. I have more lettuce coming in also. I have just put the cabbages down. I have tomatoes coming up. And I'm so thankful to the Most High Yah for his blessing me with this garden. I have okra coming up. And I want to thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you're growing anything. Okay? Well, all right.
It's time to recognize you sausage-loving genius. For without you, how would we know that Eckrich smoked sausage can be eaten thrice in one day? And that you can take your lunch break before noon? Here's to you. Eckrich smoked sausage. You do you.
At Vast National Bank, we value our billions of customers. Whether you're in Dubai or Tokyo or just London, we care. So bank big with us. Sure, your local community bank may seem friendly and helpful. Their small business loans may even help your town grow and prosper or whatever. But would they help you liquidate an offshore account to bedazzle your private jet? No.
Bank with a community bank and help your community grow. Find yours at banklocally.org.